Veterans in Buena Park were honored at the annual Veterans Honor Walk held at the Walter D. Ehlers Senior Activity Center's Veterans Memorial. Veterans from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and the Gulf War were present to recognize fellow vets as well as to remember fellow soldiers that made the ultimate sacrifice. Mark Salceda opened the ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us at our annual Veterans Honor Walk. My name is Mark Salceda. I am the Community Services Supervisor here at the Senior Activity Center. It is my honor to host this event every year here at the Veterans Memorial. Please stand for our veterans coming in. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for our national anthem.
After the posting of the colors, Walter D. Ehlers Memorial VFW Post 8954 Commander John Mueller asked the veterans to recognize their branch of service when their song was played for the audience.
As we begin the songs of our services, we ask our veterans to respond to their call of service from the song they represent. Couldn't pass it up. We'd like to say thank you to all of the service members that are here that gave us the opportunity to be able to be here and to celebrate their years of service in defense of our great nation.
After the recognition, Mark Salceda announced the honoree of this year's Veterans Honor Walk.
John, there are many people we can thank for their service. There's one person I definitely would like to call up at this time. I would like to call up Mary Hicks. She has a very remarkable life. In 1943, she enlisted in the Women's Army Corps. She was assigned to the Intelligence Division of the Manhattan Engineering District, the Atom Bomb Project, in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Her job involved scanning newspapers, magazines, and books to locate possible information leaks. She's a longtime Buena Park resident and lived here since 1945, and she will be 102 years old in December. Wow. Let's give her a round of applause. On behalf of the Senior Activity Center in the city of Buena Park, I do want to present this plaque to you. to say things?
Thank you very much.
Let's give her a round of applause. Each year I see these men up here, I'm just inspired by their braveness. Their service and their sacrifice is an example for not only the rest of our nation, but for our youth. Those individuals coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan are not receiving the reception of those from World War II, similar to the way that those from Korea and Vietnam. We definitely want to thank them for their sacrifice as well, even though some of them couldn't join us today. I do want to thank each and every one of you, especially those men who have served this great nation, for joining us, braving this cold weather today. And shortly we're getting our candlelight ceremony going. But as we do this, let's think about those who didn't make it back, those that we hold near and dear to our hearts.
After the presentation, memorial candles were handed out. The flag was lowered to half-mast, and Commander Muller, a combat veteran from Vietnam, recited the names on the memorial of local men from Buena Park who were lost in war.
We are fortunate today to have members of the great, what was referred to as the greatest generation that gave us the right to stay here and do what we do. We have individuals here that fought in Korea, where they called it a police action, but they were never issued handcuffs. We have individuals here that were representatives of the military in the United States, whether they wanted to go there or not, but they went through the mud and the blood of Vietnam. We have individuals here and on this wall that were names that come from Panama, Beirut, Lebanon. We have individuals here that were experienced the atrocities that were seen in Iraq, in Afghanistan, Somalia. It took us all to accomplish what we've accomplished over the years and to give us the rights and the privileges to be here and celebrate this evening. We have 19 gallant warriors that we remember that are on our plaque. George S. Bobo, Army, 1943. Charles Edwards, Marine Corps, 1951. Walter E. Herman III, Marine Corps, 1966. Ronald Carpo, Marine, 1967. Christopher E. Hendricks, Army, 1967. Daniel J. Holcomb, Army, 1967. Sammy Barella, Jr., Army, 1968. Larry D. Butler, Marine Corps, 1968. Marcel A. La Rochelle, Army, 1968. Stephen A. Summers, Army, 1968. Glenn L. Sparks, Army, 1969. Paul E. Wall, Navy, 1969. Theodore F. Burdra, Army, 1970. Jackie L. Denny, Marine Corps, 1971. William Maurice, Jr., Marine Corps, 1971. Paul S. Stewart, Army, 1971. Roy D. Brown, Army, 1989. Robert E. Lehman, Marine Corps, 1968. Christopher B. Fishbeck, Army, 2011. Daniel B. Harrell, Army, 1967. So you see, our community has been affected by the events of the world. And we stand proud to remember these members of our community.
Thank you, John. Thank you for reading those names for us. We want to thank all our families and friends for their sacrifices, especially those whose sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers have served into this great nation. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today and remembering the sacrifices that really go into serving this great country. Thank you all for joining us today. We do want to invite all our veterans and everyone else into Liberty Hall for refreshments. This concludes our ceremony. Thank you all.
So, Mrs. Hicks, you were just recognized today for your service in World War II. You were a staff sergeant, and you worked on the Manhattan Project. Can you expand on that?
My work was searching for leaks. So I never did find any, but I looked through hundreds of newspapers. I'm sure it was hundreds.
Well, that was, and then upon the dropping of the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, did you realize what your job was about?
Yes, I knew what it was about. When it dropped, my husband and I were visiting my parents. I had been discharged in July, and he said, of course they announced it over TV, it was everywhere, and he said, did you know about that? And I said I did, and he said, well, why didn't you tell me? And I said I couldn't, but the secret reason, well, I couldn't anyway. That was top secret. But my husband was one of those that if he knew a secret, if it's good to tell a secret, if it's good to know a secret, it's better to tell it. So he was the one. You never tell a secret because everybody knows it.
Well, I want to congratulate you for the recognition, but you're also one of the longest school teachers here in Buena Park. You got to be at Rock and Brews and meet the guys from KISS. So you've really had a full year at 101.
I know. I've had a great time this year.
Well, it's so good to see you. It always is.
Thank you.
And I wish you a very, very merry Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, and New Year. And your birthday's coming up, and
Yes.
a wonderful birthday, too.
2 days before Christmas.
And you look great.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for your service and work. Thank you very much.
It was a joy, really, most of the time.